Word. Here we are, ready to go. We're going to get it in, everybody. We're going to get it in. Heru nefer. Heru nefer. It is good to see everyone. Good to be with everyone today. This is again your brother, Inpu Ka Mut, here with you. Hoping you get an opportunity to join us. We're going to be still talking about the fast. And what we really want y'all to get into is that this is day 13. Hey, day 13 of the fast. We've been on here, we've been rocking, we've been doing this together for the last 13 days. Hopefully you all are feeling energized. You are feeling magnetized. You are feeling every way that's really, really, really beneficial for you, your family, your people. And that you are engaging in ways that your mind is functioning well, your senses have been enhanced purely from just doing this fast, that you're finding yourself with the meditation that you're doing, the breathing exercises that we got going, the journaling, the food logs, that you are finding yourself in a place where you are having the opportunity to have the time of your life during what most people would consider a challenge, which is doing this fast. Most Def, thanks for popping in, sister. Appreciate you, the love dropping in on us. Peace to you and yours and the family. We got some folks dropping in. Peace to you and yours, love to you and your families. We're just in here dropping this information on fasting. So without hesitation, let me get right in and say, first off, I want to give honor and praise to those that have gone before us. So I want to say to all the masters, to all the African, Indian, Asian, Chinese, Native American, and Pacific Islander masters that have gone before us, we bow. Reciprocity, I will share and bow with you, so that now we have given our mutual respect, our KhASA. We have gotten into it right away. I want to offline talk with our, loosely it's called an adumbration, a general sketch or an outline on what we're going to get into today. We've been talking about fasting. Last week, I talked about some of the more popular aspects of fasting. And now that we're doing particularly a tonifying, detoxifying, cleansing, raw vegan fast, I want to talk about a topic that most folks are uncomfortable with. And I'm not going to spend the whole time. I'm going to basically try and make space so that if there are questions, y'all have an opportunity to directly ask your question. And by directly asking your question, we can be able to adjust and adapt, and you can have a more full experience on the fast. What you should have noticed, because we're in about the 5th full day of being on the raw vegan aspect of the fast. And the reason we say raw vegan, because some people eat sushi. We're not doing animal flesh, all right? Just want to get that in, get that out there. So some cultures, indigenous practitioners around the world will eat some different types of animal flesh raw, and we're not doing that on this particular fast for a variety of reasons. One is access and accessibility and quality for everybody. We know that everybody can have access to fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and so we want to be able to do, and spring, good clean spring water as well as access to sunlight, which you see all around me here, and access to a space at least big enough for you to do a little Tai Chi, be able to sit still, do a little meditation. You don't need a big space to get all of this stuff done. But for us, this is our opportunity. And please, if you're in the chat or if you're checking us out on one of the social media platforms, please take the opportunity, visit our link tree, and take the opportunity to support our efforts with our donation. We're offering this particular community fast without cost to the community. So we want you to be able to get yourself together as we move into the next season, particularly with what's happening on the planet, with the different eclipses, the cycles of the moon, the retrograde motion of the planets, and the ability to recognize that this physical body is a microcosm of the macrocosm, the great energy that exists above us. We are the mirror of that. And one of the ways that we utilize managing that is through the manipulation of the body using the sciences. And so today I'm going to get deeper into the earth aspect, and we talk about the fire energy in the body And we're going to talk about how, because basically it's not you are what you eat, it's you are what you digest. And what hopefully you have seen, because I've asked you from the very beginning to, before you flush, take a look. And what you should be noticing is that throughout this fast, that the consistent color of your bladder contents, your urine, should be lightening. It shouldn't look like apple juice, shouldn't look like pineapple juice. It should start to look more clear, not like beer, you know, not like your favorite IPA. It should look more like water, like diluted water. We want to get clear as much as we can, so we can know. That's one of the ways that you can look at and see how your hydration efforts are doing, how your water intake and your general electrolyte intake is doing. The other piece that we want to look at as we're getting into this, I just want to talk, if we can be frank, many of us are not, well, some of us are meat eaters, some are not. But what you should notice is that if you're doing the practices of the breathing exercises, you're doing the Taijiquan, Qigong, or whatever movement process, however movement vocabulary you're working through, be it dance, be it art, be it, what other systems are we working with from our colleagues? Jiu-jitsu, capoeira, in addition to the meditations, those things are all excellent. While you're doing that, if you're doing the journaling, if you're doing the prayers, the meditation, the communing with the ancestors, the food logs, you should begin to notice how beautiful everything is, how everything around you is starting to slow down, how your nostrils are able to take in more, your eyes, things appear more vibrant. You don't need as much sleep, or your sleep is much more full. And what you should notice, if you're doing it and following the instructions well, you shouldn't be hungry, no headaches, none of that stuff. It should be smooth and easy. And by smooth and easy, I also mean smooth and easy. No grunting, no pushing, no drama. You sit down and then stuff is ready to evacuate the colon. And in doing that, one of the things that we want to do is not just have an easy evacuation of the colon. What we also want to be able to notice is, does it float? Does it sink? What's happening? And so if you're listening to your body and your body is operating at this optimal level that we're working at, one of the things that you should be able to really dive into and get and grasp well is that the color of your bowel movements should be changing. They should be becoming more green, particularly if you're eating a lot more leafy greens. All right. And if you're hydrated appropriately, at this point in the fast, what should happen is you should begin going about every 2 or 3 hours. Your bowels should move. And what that means is that your bowels should actually float on the water, not sink right away. So that when you finish that and you finish your wiping, take a look and they should float. And I know for many of you, this may be a bit uncomfortable, because in this culture, we're not taught to really express or discuss or have discussion around the bowel movements. And that's very different from a lot of other cultures, in that you want to make sure that you're regular. And by regular, Western standards are, maybe one bowel movement every other day. And for most of us, that just seems really clogged, really constipated, frankly. And if you understand that most of you, your bowels should be moving fairly frequently and efficiently, what that means is that for a lot of us, when they talk about people being, full of shit, having shitty ideas, you get to understand that's where this is coming from. It's all backed up, and now we want to just release it and let it go. And now what I'd like to do is I'm going to finish talking about the quality and the texture. So they should be able to hold together. It shouldn't be just bunches. It should be held together. It should hold, and it should be, appropriate size for your body in terms of width. And the color should be reflective of what you've been eating, hopefully very green. And then it may be variants of that green depending upon your diet, whether you're eating lots of nuts or you could be eating more carrots. Those things can shift the color. All right. Important to know. And you should also notice that your level of mucus in your body should be dropping. You shouldn't be, even if you have, say, like seasonal allergies, this time frame, the way in which we're eating and the things that we're using should afford you the opportunity to not only notice that the mucus is lessening, that your immune system is operating at a higher level, so that the seasonal allergies aren't impacting you in the same way as they may have been prior to the start of this fast. Additionally, like I said, it should float and it really shouldn't sink before you flush. And it should be a particular color. And now that we've got that part down, what I would like to do is to talk to you very directly about what's happening and why we're doing and using all these skills and tools together all at once. So many of you may have already had your first or second or third challenge in terms of your consistency with the fast. Like, I'm going to break this fast. I'm going to do it. I need to have some cooked food. I'm going to do whatever. Really. Again, this is no judgment here. Don't beat yourself up. Each of us are on our own unique journey. And this is not a fast that is rigid in the stance or the perspective that now it's time to beat yourself up because you couldn't stay on the fast. The thing is that, okay, you fell off the bike, get back up, get back on the bike, keep riding, check and make sure you're okay. Our goal is just to get back, all right? And stay on it as long as you can. That's what we're talking about. Stay connected. And now what we're going to do is get into the whys of how we're doing this particular fast the way that we're doing. So you definitely want to make sure before you flush, take a look. Make sure that it's floating, because that's where we are in the fast right now. It's not sitting in the body long. And so I'm going to talk about that before I get into this other piece. So when it's sitting in your body for long periods of time, what happens to the bowels should be evacuated at least every, half hour and a half to 3 hours after every meal. The bowel should evacuate. That's when the system is operating optimally, maximally. And as you're getting all the nutrients you need, the body is able to absorb everything that it needs. Okay, when you start getting into the 5, 6, 7, 9, and this is what we're talking about on fruits and veggies and nuts and seeds. And of course, the variations for those that may have allergic reactions, allergies, or other some sort of a connection that we've worked through. Once you start adding animal flesh, you start adding to the digestion time. And so that adds to the weight and thickness of the bowel movements, as well as whether it floats or sinks. Okay, because it starts to sit in the body longer. And doing so, that tends to shift what's going on inside and what's processing. And it's also heavier for you and more work for you and requires more water. And so that's the importance of actually being able to have a bowel movement actually is a reflection of the body's level of dehydration. So if you got just like little tiny pellets coming out and you're trying to push and grunt to get that out, first off, that means you need more water. You need to get the hydration going. The other thing that I want to talk about is you need to work on what we call the bellows breathing. All right, so that's basically igniting the fire within the body. So what I'm going to do today is, we haven't done all this on one thing, is the bellows breathing is connected because it connects you and your mind to the fire essence in the body. So what you're going to do now is you close your eyes for a quick moment. We're just going to breathe. So as you breathe in, I want you to push the stomach out about 3 fingers below the belly button. Okay. So if you put your hand, this finger on the belly button, and this is the finger you're going to push in and out. So you breathe in, push the stomach out. And as you breathe out, pull the stomach in. So you breathe in, push the stomach out. Breathing out, pull the stomach in. Okay, now I want you to see inside your body while you keep on breathing on that pattern and your eyes are closed. I want you to see inside. I want you to see your belly start to engulf itself in flames and just to go from a little candlelight to a big roaring flame inside the belly, in the abdomen. Right there where the intestines are, right in here. I want you to see it. And I want you to see the source of that coming right from where that pinky is, where you push and pull. All right, if you've done that cycle of 4 breaths already, you should feel the body getting warm. All right, now you can actually lightly just close your mouth like so. You don't have to squeeze, close it. Place your tongue at the roof of the mouth. All right, like you're saying the letter L or the letter N. And that closes the circuit on some of the psychic channels in the body. And so what that does, you've now closed the circuit on the body. So now the energy is going to be recycled through your body. It's going to flow. So when you're doing the breathing, seeing the breath go down past the lungs, filling the belly, you can open your eyes now and keep this breathing. So I want you to feel what's happening. I want you to feel the fire. And that's a lot of what that's talking about. That's not just P.O. Bryson talking about, I'm excited for you. I want you to feel the fire of passion burning for you. No, he's talking about igniting that fire deep within so that you can connect to yourself. So you can feel that fire burning. And as that fire begins to burn, that's the fire of life that animates and gives us the ability to do the things we do with our time traveling vehicle, or this physical body. And so what we're doing now, in essence, now that we got this deep cleaning going on, using the roughage and fiber from the raw food that we're getting, that's scrubbing the insides out. Now we do the deep breathing according to the schedule. So that means you eat. After you're eating, you don't do the deep breathing till after you eat. So if you just finished eating, we're not doing the deep breathing anymore. Okay, just let that go. But I want you to understand that if you download the documents, and if you're on the Instagram, you should be able to find that in our bio, hit the link tree. You still have an opportunity to join us. You can start this Tuesday because we're still building up to the fast. We got the new moon that just came behind us. We're going to the 26th. Okay, we have the solstice coming up on the 20th, along with the shift for Jupiter to go in the retrograde, along with Saturn and Mercury. So we're going to have a very vital environment in terms of the vibration, or in terms of the frequencies that are being broadcast that's impacting the Earth, in addition to the sun, in addition to the moon, in addition to the other planets, particularly Subtet or Sirius A. So in addition to that, we want to be able to do our Taijiquan, our Qigong, our AHA, our Sema, our yoga. And you're doing these things, twisting, turning the body, shifting, so that you're affording yourself the opportunity to use all of these healing modalities at once to release all toxins that are in the body, get the organs operating optimally, so that now we have an opportunity to establish some good habits. And so for us, we're going from the 1st to the 26th, that's 26 days. And for those that are working to do the advanced part of the fast, the liquid fast, we go to the 29th. And so roughly that's 29 days, roughly an entire lunar cycle. So what we have done is offered you the opportunity to make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, which we talk about here at the Kemetic AHA and Sema Association all the time. It's one of our mottos: make a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change. And that means that you're consistently making decisions about ways to improve or maintain your health. I've done this before. I'm going to share it here very quickly. If you get a piece of paper, real quick, I want you to write down, I'm going to grab one of these, which is my one of my pens here. There it is. I'm gonna get one of my markers. That's my permanent marker, not that one. Okay, so what I want to do is to really kind of show y'all this particular exercise. So I'm gonna give you a moment to grab a pen and pencil. So go ahead, grab a pen and pencil real quick. Thank you much, thank you much. And here's what we're gonna do. What I want you to do is, so if you have your health right now, mark the number 1. Okay, everybody mark the number 1 if you have your health right now. Okay, hopefully everybody has marked off that number 1 because they have their health. All right, now if you have people that love you, put a 0 next to it. Okay. Okay, we're gonna be going all the way across here. If you got family, children, people that love you, spouse or partner that loves you, keep on going. Excuse my zeros, I'm writing backwards, upside down. I want you to feel what I'm saying, okay? Now, you have a job or some kind of gainful employment. add another 0. We can add a couple of zeros there for that. Grateful that we have some employment given what's happening. Okay, if you have a place to stay, add a 0. Okay, if you have access to fresh food and vegetables and all that, add a couple of zeros. You have people that love you. If you got a hug today, add a couple of zeros. Now, that's quite a bit. So we're going to do it like we normally do. So we take that 3 there, that 3 there, and there. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3. So we'll take that out. So we keep our 3s honest here. All right. So now I want you to see this looks like roughly, that's $1 billion. So I want us to take a look and see that we're working with $1 billion. Okay, just $1 billion. We can call it dollars, cents, rubies, whatever you want. Okay, this is our health and wellness, our well-being. Now, if we just take an honest look and we say we take away our health, what do we got? Just a bunch of zeros. Or as we would say, just a bunch of nothing. Now, with that nothing, it means that if you're taking care of people, if you're helping folks, if you don't have your health, you can't help nobody else. So when I talk about making a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, I'm talking about making that, choosing you first. And I don't mean in a selfish way. I mean in a way that has healthy boundaries. And that's one of the reasons we talk about Taijiquan, Qigong, and all the things that we're talking about, or jujitsu or capoeira, any kind of a system that aids you in not only identifying what your boundaries are, but being able to communicate those boundaries to others and, when necessary, enforcing those boundaries. Got it? Because that's about health too. And so that now that we're utilizing, see, I'm not just talking about, I'm talking martial art, not just martial science. So that we're establishing these boundaries because we want to make healthy decisions for ourselves. So that if someone is offering you something and you know that is not consistent with your desire to make healthy decisions for your life and yourself, you know how to say no. And more importantly, you know how to say no in a loving way. So it's not like you have to deal with enforcing that boundary. All right, because these are people that also support and love you and want to see you ascend to your highest self. Right? Okay, so now if we're getting that, and again, like we talked about, if you don't have your health, you don't have any of these things. What kind of decisions are we making? And that's why we're on this particular summer solstice community fast. This is the longest one of the year, primarily because we're utilizing the benefits of the sunlight. And for most of you, you are not getting enough sunlight. And I've said it before, so I'm going to say it here just very gently to you so you get what I'm saying. And it's real simple, okay? So you're going to take the suit that you were given when you landed on this planet. You want to take that suit. Some call it a birthday suit. And for those that are able to, in your home, on your property, wherever you are, expose that birthday suit to as much of the sun as you can. All right? And I'm not talking to folks about going out and getting burned. I'm talking about getting the energy, the information directly from the sun. Spend a few moments pulling in that energy, allowing your body to be able to absorb the light, the healing, the information, and to produce the metabolic response to sunlight within you. So it's more than just vitamin D. It increases the immune system. It aids in lowering inflammation. In addition to that, it may release some sweat, all right? And you're gonna need that because we talked about these breathing exercises. We talked about the hydration. And if you're doing that, what you're doing is you're increasing what's called the Agni, the fire, or we call it the Duamutef energy, the fire essence in the core of the body. Okay, and the reason we talk about that way is that, all right, many folks don't understand fire is a relationship. Fire doesn't burn, but the fire needs to be fed. It has a relationship between whatever the substance is that's being burned, the oxygen that's in the air, and the other substances, so that it's a partnership, it's a nexus, it's an intersection. And so that fire is in the core of the body, and you utilize that to absorb or to change the form from the physical food into a process that the body is able to absorb. That's the process of mastication, chewing. And we all know that through the process of chewing that there's innervation in the mouth and jaw directly connected to the gut, so that the saliva that's produced based on what's happening, there's this interconnection that is occurring. And what I'm asking you to do is, as you slow down, as you utilize our practices in doing this, this includes the food log, okay, and the journaling and all that. And when you go to the bathroom, you're checking on the color of the urine, you're checking on the color of the bowel movements, you're remembering, is it floating, is it not floating, is it thick, is it all spattered all over the place like spackle? You know, you want to pay attention to these things so that you have the opportunity to use this as a learning. All right, how is my body responding? And to give you an example, you can actually take, I'm not saying take a picture, but you can look at the colors and you can go online and see what is a healthy bowel movement supposed to look like. And again, you want to remember that for most folks, they consider normal to be heavy meat eating, heavy dairy, and so that what you have is going to look radically different than that. All right, and so I really want you to take the time to spend this time with yourself. We're not spending a lot of time watching television. We're not on the internet a whole lot. You know, you'll find me on here a bit because, one, I'm promoting this. I want y'all to be able to have an opportunity to see what we offer, because I'm not on here a lot, particularly on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram a lot talking about what we do in terms of the Kemetic Aha and Sema Association. You know, and for many of us, I've utilized the time that we've been in this shelter at home to afford us the opportunity to get to know one another a little better. I have some what I call liberation tools. And so you'll find them on our YouTube channel. You'll find them, you know, archived here as well on Instagram. And we switch them out once a week, and we push people on the Facebook to the YouTube channel. And as a result, we want to be able to get you to see that we're not just talking about a fast in terms of food or one kind of fast. This is a holistic expression of multiple modes of healing with the desire to get you synergistically moving everything all at the same time in a positive direction. So that at the end of the fast, as we start to come off, if you're following the directions, and for those of you that want them, contact me directly. If you're on Instagram, check it out on the IG in the bio. Our link tree is there, and you can get the directions and instructions and some of the suggestions. You can still join us if you like. We're going to the 26th. The main thing is that this body is a mirror of the larger body, the cosmos. And so we're actually, through the Taijiquan, we're moving this physical body in concert with the cosmos. So we just had the new moon last week, and we're now just coming out of that new moon phase. We're headed into the waxing full phase of the moon. So we'll be doing the Tai Chi that refers to the lunar cycle in that, in addition to the regular short form for folks that have been on with us since we've been at home. The other thing that I'm asking you to do is to take a look at the reading, not the reading, but the food log. Food log is important because you learn a lot of things about yourself. When you want to eat, are you stressed? Are you at peace? Do you eat because someone made you upset? You've been dealing with your kids and it's rough, and you didn't eat when you thought you needed to, and it's late. And even though you really aren't hungry, you didn't have that 3 meals a day, so you feel you need to eat. All of these things are things you want to be able to watch for. Also, take a look and see, am I really thirsty? Try thirst first. See. The other piece is that we want to be able to slow down. One of the things that hopefully you've seen over this last 15 months is that because you were able to slow down, you were able to see things a lot more clearly. We don't have to multitask. That is not an ideal state for the human body, to multitask the way that we think multitasking works. Okay, I would offer humbly that we're already multitasking. However, it's happening in ways that you really don't understand, because most of us haven't taken the time to sit still and breathe fully and deeply and get into our bodies and to really claim sovereignty over this vehicle that we've been gifted. And that's the kind of nationality and sovereignty that I talk about, this body. What can we do? What are the liberation tools to get this body so that it responds to me? Not the brain, it responds to me, the mind, me, the spirit, me that thinks about thinking, the voice that you hear inside your head when you're not talking, right? So I want you to take this time, and if you have an opportunity to download or check out any of our fast information, check it out. If you feel like we're already too far gone, no worries. If you have a question, put it in the chat on either one of these modalities, and I'll jump on and check in with you. But the main reason I wanted to come on today was to really get to the end of this aspect of it and really have you look at, we've talked about a lot, but I wanted to really talk about the fact that we're going to spend this week talking about, again, talking about how you evacuate the bowels, how you evaluate the bowels, what they look like, what the color should be. It should be floating, just giving you an understanding. And if it's not, that's okay. Doesn't mean something's happening. It's just an opportunity for you to observe where you are in the process. Because again, this is a cultural process that we're going through. This is not diagnosis. This is not medical. This is cultural, where we're talking about ways of being, ways of doing from an African perspective, looking primarily through the Kemetic variant that has been handed down to me through our system. So that's what we're sharing, in addition to what has been shared with me by my elders that have been working with me, well, probably, for about the last 30 years, we'll say. And as a result, I want to be able to offer you an opportunity for questions, if there are questions. If you're on Facebook, put it in the Facebook piece where you get it. I'll get to it once we wind this down. If you're in IG, same thing, it'll be up. Please, you can also DM me at both of these places, or you can also, post it when you get it on our YouTube channel. If you have questions, I should be fairly easy to find and access, because I really want to be able to provide assistance in terms of culturally what we're doing with the body, how we're utilizing it, and to provide you with a perspective, a frame, if you will, of how our ancestors and our ancestral practices were used to aid us in gaining optimal health and provided us an opportunity to be looked upon as the most ancient of peoples, and the things that we did that aided us in being healthy and helping us to provide the wisdom to guide really much of the rest of the world. So we now are at a point where people eat things year round and that don't need to be eaten year round because they don't grow year round. We force things to grow. And what I want you to really consider and think about as I wind up is that if you force something to grow during a time it's not meant and a place it's not meant, that means you're going to have to use things that aren't necessary to do that. And so that's what we call pesticides. That's what we call kind of things that extract from the soil the vital essence of things that we need. I'm not going to go too heavy into the soil today because we're talking about how things return to the soil, which is through our movements. But the next session that we're going to have is where we're going to get in a little deeper. Not going to get all metaphysic-y and all that. I want to keep it accessible to everybody. But what I'd like to do is we're going to take another step and we're going to go a little bit deeper into the practices. I'm going to talk about the food law. We're going to look at the emotional bodies. And we're going to look at the ways that the physical body, in terms of what we're doing, we're going to start breaking down the different things, because you've seen me posting about smoothies in the morning at breakfast. And I want to get that cleared. First off, I want to give a shout out to my Bob and Elders Sunshine in Houston. And I want to give a major shout out to Dr. Goss. And, just there's a lot of folks that, I spend the rest of the time that we have thanking the elders that have provided me, put me on this path. But definitely want to give a shout out to Iya Ifa Shade of the Good Life Health Food Center here in Southern California, who most people have heard of probably as its relationship to hip hop, with the youth night being Thursday nights, which gave birth to kind of a lot of the freestyle movement that shifted and impacted hip hop from about 1990 to 1993 and then on into the present with the way in which you look at freestyling. That actually was a result of the community outreach efforts that started at the Good Life Health Food Center. People who made a consistent commitment to a lifestyle change, which allowed them to eat better. And as they began to eat better and see what the community needed, because this grew out of the work of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense Survival Programs, what they saw was that the young people needed an outlet. And that birthed into the hip hop night on Thursday night. But if you ever came through the Good Life Health Food Center, and I'm going to talk a bit about this on our next session and how this connects to the fast, why we do the fast the way that we do, so that you have a real background. So it's like, boy, Inpu, what's up with this fast stuff, man? It just seems like it comes out of nowhere. You know, you're not around and you pop up and you throw up this fast stuff. Where does it come from? So what I'm going to do is I've talked about fasting on multiple things, but never kind of the historical relationship of how I got into it, how we got to it, and the relationship that we'll have to the smoothies. We'll go like meal by meal. And so we'll talk about how that works. And the one thing that I haven't talked about, well, I'll save that for the last Sunday. What we'll do is we'll also talk about aromatherapy and plant resins, okay, or tree resins. And so we'll talk about their relationship to health on this fast and those sorts of things as well. So but next week, we're going to get into, again, looking at the first meal of the day, the break fast. And in looking at the break fast, we're going to look at what is it that you want to do right when you get up? Why is that so important? And if in fact that is what's happening, how does that impact the rest of the day in terms of energy, in terms of what you want to do, how you want to move through space? And then I'll talk about some other things, and I may even bring some tools so to share with y'all, you know, background and how it might work best for you. So I'm grateful for the time. I would love if there are any questions. If anyone has a question they want to raise on Instagram, drop it in the chat. If you're doing it on Facebook or any other platform, just drop it in and I'll address it expeditiously. All right. I'm grateful for all that came in the room that listened. Check it out. I'm not going to go and hold everyone long today. We covered everything that we needed to cover. And we did it in time, started on time, want to end on time. I'm going to recap very briefly. We talked about your bladder contents and how you want to evaluate those. Make sure you're getting hydrated appropriately by color. And what I may do is I'll post a picture so you can kind of, if you actually have to kind of eyeball it, if you're nervous, you're going to be okay. But it shouldn't look like apple juice. Okay, it should look more, shouldn't look like lemonade. It should look a bit more like water. Okay, clear, opaque, might have a faint golden tinge, yellow tinge, but that's when you're hydrated and your body tells you based on what it looks like. Additionally, we talked about the frequency with which you should be having bowel movements, which should be at least 3 or 4 a day. You know, because we're talking about if you're eating every 3 or 4 hours, you should have a bowel movement every 2.5 hours after that. Particularly if you're doing the breathing exercises, the Tai Chi, the Qigong, the yoga, the Sema, the AHA, the Rekhati Committee, basically the breathing exercises and meditations. If you're doing all of those things, and we got an example of that today with the bellows breathing, your bowel should be going very well. Okay, so you then have an opportunity to look at them and see, check the color, check the texture, and make sure that they're buoyant or that they're floating. Then you can let them go. Make sure that you're doing the food log and not just filling out, 3 raisins, 6 almonds, not just like that, but also how are you feeling when you eat them? Does it satisfy your hunger when you ate those few? Okay. How is your hydration? What does it feel like when you drink that water? Pay attention, please. And while you're paying attention, you can also journal in the journal that you got. And remember, we're building intimacy if you have an intimate partner. So we're not engaging in fluid exchange with our partners. We're engaging in intimacy or energetic exchange. So things like foot rubs, hair combing, non-sexual behavior during this fast. And I want to get into that primarily because I want you to remember that while we're fasting here and it's so it's like no sex. What you want to remember is that in this culture, people are so rushed that they aren't really enjoying the time they have with their partner. That, cooking together could be something, grabbing some shea butter and rubbing their feet before they go to bed that night. Taking the dry brush and during the day, stimulating the skin with the dry brush and brush the skin. All right, there's a wide variety of ways that we can connect with our partner. And so it's time for us to, not time, but this affords us the opportunity to really take a look and to find ways to do so that do not involve fluid exchange or chi draining. And there's a reminder, if you're with a partner that's not on the fast, if they're eating meat and you're exchanging fluids with them, you're not on the fast. So no pressure, just the acknowledgement that that's how it is. That's where we are. I want you to think about it. I'm very grateful that you chose this time, particularly on a Sunday, beautiful Sunday like today, wherever you are. And whatever the weather is like, it's a beautiful Sunday. All right. I'm just grateful to be here with you and to share this space and time. And so with that, what I'd like to do is to wind it down. We're going to be coming back and we're going to be talking about the relationship between the innervation next week. We're going to talk about the innervation in and around the mouth and how that connects to the gut, how that connects to the body overall, and why we're doing the breathing exercises in addition to the fasting. And then the final week, which will be, most of you will be off the fast. What we'll talk about is how we're coming off the fast, how the fast went, and looking at kind of the history of how I got into these kind of seasonal fasts, what happened, and then really take some questions. So if you have an opportunity, we're going to spend this last Sunday of the month gathering to have a little question and answer around if you have any fasting questions, particularly coming off the fast, as to how your body may have responded. Have you noticed anything different? Have people said different things about you that didn't know that you were on the fast? And it's important to make sure that you're journaling during this time. Make sure that we're not doing a lot of TV, a lot of radio. It's a time to spend reading and contemplation, introspection, cogitation, and prayer. Or meditation or connection to a higher power, if you call it that, or whatever energy, however you wish to term it, higher being, higher consciousness. We also refer to what we call wisdom from the sages of the ages. And so we ask that you use whatever wisdom text that comes and brings you light to begin reading those more frequently during this time. And I know there's a lot of great stuff because we're all got a lot of great stuff on TV and all that, to minimize the commercials, minimize the television, the sitting still and doing nothing, and get into moving the body in healthy ways and utilizing the time so that if you're going to sit in one of the lotus positions, stretch, move your body while you're doing those other things so that it doesn't become a passive activity. So right now I'm going to bow out because I'm grateful for the time we spent. So I'll say to all the African, Indian, Asian, Chinese, Native American, and Pacific Islander masters that have gone before us, we bow. Teacher, student, teacher. That's our mutual respect and reciprocity. Ashe, giving respect to the ancestors, giving respect to the eternal witnesses of the earth and sky. I'm grateful for all that you bring to us, and I'm wonderful and thank you most for your presence. Please let it be the true gift that it is. Thank you so much. This will be going up all over for our social media. For those that want to check it out again later, may have come in towards the end. Thank you very much. If you check it out, please check out our pinned comments. And if you really appreciate what you have seen here and want to aid us in expanding our capacity to get this out to others, please donate. We do this work so that people who do not have are able to have, particularly our ancestral and traditional tools. So we do this work, and we're going to begin meeting again in person, perhaps closer to July. We really want to acknowledge folks who have immunodeficiencies, who are wanting to practice with us. We want to make sure that we know that your health is our utmost concern. And with that, thank you much. Be well to the ancestors, to the eternal witnesses of the earth and the sky. I thank you. I say Hatapu, which means peace, Atep, and then we say Ang Uja Saneb, life, health, and strength. Peace. So grateful for y'all. So grateful. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's how we're going to get down. Peace.